quick. Obama talking all sorts of smack right now. Listen to this. Can you get into the mothership? I'm going to go to the mothership. I think I'm going to go to the mothership this weekend. It's my birthday this weekend, so I might just go over there and see what's up. They have an open mic on Sundays and Mondays. I might just go to that.
Imagine if I had done any of this. Let me just, I just want to be clear about this. Imagine that. Imagine if I had pulled Fox News' credentials from the White House press corps. You're laughing, but no, this is what's happening. Imagine if I'd said to law firms that were representing parties that were upset with policies my administration had initiated, that you will not be allowed into government buildings. We will punish you economically for dissenting from the Affordable Care Act or the Iran deal. We will ferret out students who protest against my policies. It's unimaginable that the same parties that are silent now would have tolerated behavior like that from me or a whole bunch of my predecessors. So, and I say this not on a partisan basis. This has to do with something more precious, which is, who are we as a country and what values do we stand for?
Hey, isn't this the same guy that spied on Donald Trump's campaign? Hey, isn't this the same guy that spied on someone when they were running for president under the FISA Act? Isn't that the same guy? Or am I thinking of a different Barack Obama? You guys tell me, is this a different Barack Obama I'm thinking of? Or is it this guy who did that? Because this guy's talking like he didn't do that. But I could swear that the Barack Obama I'm thinking of did that exact thing. I'm confused. I'm very confused right now because he's talking like he's never done anything like that. Then somebody up top just goes, you literally wiretapped a Fox News reporter. Like, what is he talking? The world that they live in is so... this world of just, whatever I do wrong, I'm just going to push it aside. And in fact, I won't even... you know what? I'm not even going to push it aside. I'm just going to push it right to you. I'm going to accuse you of that. That's what you did. I didn't do that. I'm the one on the moral high ground here. You're some kind of deplorable. And everybody should really be questioning themselves if they want anything to do with you. It's so wild listening to Barack Obama talk about anything, you know? Let's hear what Fox had to say about it. They had a bit of a comment on this whole thing. See if they have any other clips that I might have missed.
Well, Molly, we do have a prominent Democrat speaking out about this, and his name is former President Barack Obama, about what activists need to do to resist Trump.
It has been easy during most of our lifetimes to say you are a progressive and not have to pay a price for it. Now we're at one of those moments where, you know what, it's not enough just to say you're for something. You may actually have to do something and possibly sacrifice a little bit.
Sacrifice what? Your Tesla that you bought? I don't know what he's talking about.
Well, he's talking to a college audience there, which I think is worth noting, and why some of the applause lines that he hits actually got applause. He goes into some of the things that are happening across the country and how people should be pushing back, and not just the students, but entities. He says if you're a law firm being threatened, you might have to say, okay, we'll lose some business. But then he goes on, if you're a university, you may have to figure out, are we in fact doing things right? Have we violated our own values, our own code, violated the law in some fashion? If not, you're being intimidated. He goes on to say, we'll stand up for what we believe in, and we'll pay our researchers for a while out of that endowment. We'll give up the extra wing or the fancy gymnasium, that we can delay that for a couple of years because of academic freedom. So he's going specifically at university students in this particular course of action. I think it might be better received than it was when he was scolding African-American men for lagging their support of Kamala Harris. So he knows his audience, and he's going for a group that he thinks he can mobilize.
Well, he is a former community organizer, so maybe he's getting back into that as the elections continue to lose for him. But meanwhile, speaking of Democrats, there is a civil war brewing.
That's so ridiculous. You might have to make some sacrifices, you know? They're constantly doing this kind of thing, constantly doing this type of thing. It's always looking to the people, because what he's trying to do is, it's almost like this exactly. It sounds like Obama is saying you might have to do jail time and stand up for him. Exactly. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like he's trying to get them to be like, oh wow, you gotta really think about who you guys are as people, and you gotta stand up, really. Like it makes some sacrifices. Why do they have to make sacrifices? And I'm not a progressive, I'm not a liberal, but why do they have to make sacrifices for Obama? What? Who are you? What sacrifices has he made ever? It's a book deal, movie deal, producer deals worth 8 or 9 figures right now. You haven't had to make any sacrifices at all. In fact, you've just gotten things on the backs of all of these minority groups, on the backs of them. Got to president twice on the backs of them. And now you're looking at them like they might have to make some sacrifices? I'm telling you, the world that they live in is so wild to sit there and say that with a straight face. Oh my gosh. Yeah. See, this is exactly why I pulled that clip up. Yes. This is what everybody has to remember when thinking about Trump. Listen, you may not like every take that Dave Smith has, but this take in regards to Obama is perfect.
Barack Obama is. Every goddamn time he's campaigning for somebody else, if you're not voting for the person who he wants you to vote for, his answer is, that's because you're a terrible person. Michelle Obama got on stage at the DNC and goes, I know a lot of people are upset by me because when you're a black woman, people don't like when you have a strong opinion. As if the only reason we could be upset is because she's black and a woman.
She's a woman?
Motherfucker. This country elected you twice, and you have the nerve to act like this country is some white supremacist country? You two are worth over $100 million. The only thing Barack or Michelle should ever say about America is what a great country we've been to them. Barack Obama is. Every goddamn time.
And it cuts off early, but he says, F that guy. He's like, F this guy. So true, man. So true. Wow. You might have to make some sacrifices. Why don't you make a sacrifice? Why don't you make a sacrifice and go have dinner with Trump and go in front of all of the progressives and Democrats and try and work something out with him and show that you're actually bipartisan? And why don't you make a sacrifice and say, hey, you got to support your president? Why don't you make some sacrifices? You're talking to these young kids. Like they should have to make sacrifices. I say young kids. Somebody asked how young I'm turning. 39. 39 I'm going to be turning in a few days. It's crazy. It's so crazy. I can remember being 20. It's nuts. I can remember being 20 and not having Barack Obama tell me I have to make some sacrifices. Get out of here, man. Are you nuts? Here, let's switch over to this dude saying that he thinks Barack Obama has a Downs. No, sorry, not dementia. So he's seeing signs of dementia here, which is very interesting. So let's take a listen to this really quick.
Obama was complaining about Trump in a number of ways, and I couldn't help but notice, beyond the usual hypocrisy, that his body language was showing signs of dementia or mental decline, if you will. But let's take a look at this. He was saying, imagine if I had done any of this. Imagine if I had pulled Fox News credentials. We're going to be talking about all that. But first, let's take a look at his body language directly so we can, well, better assess this. So take a look at this.
Imagine if I had done any of this. Let me just, I just want to be clear about this. Imagine that.
I'm going to show you some of the clips. This is like 1 minute long, but you already noticed that he is speaking. He's not saying anything that would be make him nervous or anything. Like, he is used to giving speeches. I don't know how much I think he charges $1 million for, I don't know, like 15 minutes, 30-minute speech. So he is a seasoned public speaker. So there's no reason why he would get trigger or nervous about speaking in public. So, well, that was that way of not being able to say the words properly and stuttering so much was already suspicious. But let's move on.
Imagine if I had pulled Fox News' credentials from the White House press corps. You're laughing, but no, this is what's happening. Imagine if I'd said to law firms that were representing parties that were upset with policies my administration had initiated, that you will not be allowed into government buildings. We will punish you economically for dissenting from the Affordable Care Act or the Iran deal.
A couple of things here. I saw those pauses. You can use pauses to have more gravitas in your speech, to have more weight in your speech, to sound more, more heavy in your words. You have to use them strategically. But I saw these pauses. A couple of things. The first one, the pauses were a bit too long. And the second one is that he was a bit lost in the way that he was using his eyes. He was looking for some kind of reassurance in the person who is interviewing him. So that is not a usual Obama affair. Some of you have said, okay, but Jesus, but he's not, he is good at reading a teleprompter. Since he doesn't have a teleprompter, he is not good at all. But we saw him during the Kamala Harris campaign speaking in public without a teleprompter and was not as dispersed as this. I mean, he should be able to talk about these topics like the palm of his hand. Like, this is his thing that he breathes and lives. And well, he is right now sitting at 4% odds of being recognized or acknowledged as the leader of the Democrat Party, tied with Jasmine Crockett, nonetheless. So that must be frustrating in so many ways. Besides Michelle Obama's flopcast that hasn't done well. But I see his body language, I see his demeanor here, I see the mandatory fluidity, the mandatory eloquence that she must have, because, well, we could say that he is not old, and this doesn't look good at all. This reminds me, let's say, not 2020 Joe Biden. I could say that 2018 Joe Biden already. You know that from 2018 we already saw those few remarks. We didn't see much of Joe Biden back in 2018, but you remember that speech in 2015 that he still had that certain mental acuity. But no, by 2020 he had lost it, and this is what I'm seeing in Obama right now.
Wow. This guy. I like this guy.
We
I've
will
never heard of him.
ferret out students who protest against my policies.
Notice that his illustrator gestures, especially I mean the gestures of his hands, trying to emphasize his words, are a bit out of sync. Usually our illustrators are out of sync. If you're going to say that something is big or something is small, and you're going to use your hands to emphasize your words, you will usually move your hands in sync with your words. It's that simple. Okay, that doesn't happen here. It's like bit all over the place, which is quite odd because he is not in this very passionate speech or improvising the speech. He's trying to organize his words. That's why he does that classic lip press. This is a classic facial gesture from Obama. This is nothing out of the ordinary. We can say that this is his resting face when he is a bit frustrated. He is channeling frustration, but I don't see the same, I don't know what is the word, acuteness or how acute or focus used to be his gaze. His gaze.
He's saying he's no longer sharp as a tack. That's what he's saying. Basically, and I see it now that he brings it up. I did not catch on to that when I've been watching this clip. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I would love to know if that is true. Because it could be. I mean, what the presidency does to people, everybody but Donald Trump, is well known. It drags people through the mud. It's crazy how much people respect everyone lost for him, yet he keeps popping up to run his mouth with some nonsense. Yeah, that's very true. You know why? It's because the Democrats, they need someone, and they still have him. And sadly, there's still a lot of, respect whoever you want, but there's still people in the black community that do respect what he has to say. There are still some young progressives that respect what he has to say. He's known as the first black president. And, in those circles, there's still a respect there for him. And when it comes to the left and the right, it's like we live in different worlds. So they look at him and they go, oh, yeah, he's the guy. I mean, and they still remember who he was, but it is starting to wear off. I noticed, now that I'm thinking about this, I did notice this when he was talking about, he was running with Kamala Harris. It was one of the times he was on stage for Kamala Harris. And he was talking about how Donald Trump had said there's very fine people on both sides. He was just bringing up all these things that were clearly debunked. And he just didn't seem as sharp there. And I figured that was because he was lying. He just wasn't telling the truth. And sometimes when you're not telling the truth, it's harder to get things out. It's harder to ration them out. You can't go into explanation of it. You just have to say, Donald Trump's the guy who said there's very fine people on both sides. You can't really go into it, because if you go into it, your lie will get exposed. So, I don't know. Yeah, and then you say he's always lying. So it's, yeah, that's the thing. That's what I didn't pick up on, is if he lies a lot already, then that would have been nothing. But maybe this guy's right. Maybe there's something ticking there. Truthfully, he kind of sounded like Biden trying to BO Kamala, was watching from the side, trying to learn how to say things. But then again, she is burdened. Yeah, she is. Yep, we won't mention his involvement with island owners. He probably means literal sacrifice. Yeah. We're the sacrifices, like Quad said. Yeah, it's us. It's us. Us in this generation of people. We're the ones that are... And you know what? That's basically true. We are the sacrifices. Like other generations were like, oh, I bought this house for $70,000. And I went to college on I had a summer job and I paid for all my college. That's not a thing anymore. It's crazy now. So we are the economic sacrifice. It's like, you guys go figure it out. And now it's like, well, hold on, I got to make 6 figures just to be comfortable, or else, it's hard to get along in life. You'll figure it out. There's lots of jobs that pay 6 figures. Wait, no, there's not. Wait. And they're like, you can have our house when we pass away. Don't worry. It'll be worth so much money. And then it's like, hold on, is the market crashing? Yeah, we are the sacrifices, 100%. The way his face dropped is very telling. Yeah, and there could be some pressure. People are speculating that him and Michelle are getting divorced. If you purposely lie to a federal judge, and then you should be able to make future court arguments, strike one, you're out. That's hilarious. Oh, did I go too far down? There we go. He is great. Yeah. This guy's great. The body language guy, his name's Jesus. Jesus Enrique Rosa. Oh, wow. What's his YouTube name? The body language guy. Yeah. This guy's cool. Can definitely tell what side he's on with things. Respect, because he uses words they know sound good. Yeah, he's just a talker. That is the reason for the respect. I mean, he became president as well, and there's that. But in regards to what he's done, besides just being president, it's interesting. But again, the black community is still there for him just because he's black. That's basically it. Yeah, just the way they were following Kamala, but Kamala had nothing of value to say. It was just because she's black. And that's not, and I shouldn't even just say that, because that's not just a black community thing. That's a liberal thing. That's a progressive thing. So, we have black people here, and you guys just have all white people. And then Donald Trump was like, oh yeah? Oh yeah? Cue the hundreds of thousands of black men in MAGA hats going to MAGA rallies. Cue South Bronx when Trump was in the Bronx, just killing it. He just changed the whole dynamic. And that's when people started losing respect even more for Barack Obama, because they started seeing, okay, this Trump guy, he's clearly not racist, and there's clearly a diverse amount of people that really love his policies and want to vote for him. Everything started getting exposed, and then you're still saying, Barack Obama was still saying the same old talking points. This guy's he's racist. People weren't falling for that, especially at that time during the campaign. It was like Kamala Harris wouldn't go sit down with a bunch of black journalists, and Donald Trump went there effortlessly, and they attacked Donald Trump. He went there. He was the only one who was willing to go, and they attacked him. It was crazy. Can't wait for them to maybe cut back taxes and get rid of it. Coach Colin, it's Mike. It's actually Michael. It's Michael, but I know what you mean. I'm sure Obama has sacrificed. Yeah. He looks like he's been to too many Diddy parties. Nah. After a Diddy party, you come out moist and slippery. Baby oil. Oh, could you imagine? The FBI has all that footage too, I gotta say. But yeah, that's very interesting. Let's move on from Obama.